this whole hangar deck is filled with the different activities, even a cafe down there at the end?
Yes, it is a gift shop cafe. Now, with as much that's been restored aboard Midway, our visitors are spending about 4 hours aboard. There's that much to see and do.
Well, what do you think about being number 7 on the list to the top tourist destination?
Well, I tell you what, we're proud of that. Our goal, of course, is to be number 1 or number 2, as we are ranked on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
We have a ways to go. We've made some progress. Thanks again to a lot of San Diegans who've been volunteers and employees, but we've got a lot more to come.
All right, Scott McGaw here. We're on the Midway Museum, and we'll come back to you one more time before the end of the show. Send it back to you guys.
Okay, look forward to that, Mike. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good deal. Okay, big day on Capitol Hill. As you know, a lot is going on, and one of the things that is going on has to do with Congressman Bilbray. He's definitely got a dog in this hunt, and that would be the House Oversight Committee, and they're talking to Henry Paulson, who's in the middle of this whole financial crisis and situation. In fact, we've just pulled him from the committee meeting right now to give us a call and talk about it. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
First of all, I found out about this on your Facebook page, which you're using very effectively, I might add.
Well, you know, my kids have got me working on all this stuff. More get into it. Great to hear about the Midway. You know, Alan UK was the guy who really made that happen. So before we go on, you got to give credit to our San Diego leaders. He actually walked into my office in the 90s and asked for the congressional delegation to support it because it was in my old district. But Alan UK was the guy who made that possible. But
well, it's just become number 7 on the greatest tourist destinations, according to our reporter, Mike Castellucci. All right, today Henry Paulson is on the hot seat. For the folks at home, give us a little backgrounder why Henry Paulson is so important here.
Well, because basically there's testimony saying that there was orders sent down that when the so-called bank bailout was initiated, that they started telling basically the board of directors how to operate the businesses, and Washington insiders were directing the private sector, basically saying that they could not back out of the deal even though all the data looked terrible at Bank of America taking over another company, and basically saying, look, if you don't finish closing this deal, we're going to basically replace you with somebody else. And what's scary about this is that we're actually seeing something we never thought we'd see in this country, and that is the nationalization of our major banking institutions, because when Washington and the government can dictate the operations, it's pretty well the definition of nationalization. And because of the big bailout, rather than buying toxic assets, as they originally said, they've basically taken over the board of directors.
So what is it that you want to know from Henry Paulson?
Want to know, did he give direction or did he imply direction? Paulson's actually saying that he basically sent the message that if you try to back out of this deal, we will interpret it as being illegal and we will take appropriate action. Now, Bernanke
and the deal
said,
you're talking about is the merger?
The merger, and Bernanke basically said that he implied to people that this wasn't a big deal, but all the testimony we've gotten is that basically the board of directors were told in no short terms that if you back out of the deal, we'll replace you with somebody who won't.
And so do you think that there's something perhaps wrong with that?
Look, what's the biggest thing that's wrong with this is that we're realizing that the government basically has taken over all these companies, that now Washington is dictating what happens on Wall Street and Main Street and in Detroit, and we're seeing a whole shift of power away from the neighborhoods and the decentralized system that this country was built on to a centralized system that reflects something that even Europe isn't using now, more going back to what we've called, the social model, which is not something this country's been comfortable with in the past.
Now, would you have preferred it if we just let these guys tread water and see if they made it?
Well, I think that what it really came down to, Dan, was any bureaucracy, it's easy to handle one big problem than too little. So they wanted the merger more for the bureaucracy's ability to manage. And that's what's scary when you start having government operate. They don't have a real horse in the race. They don't have vested interest in the long-term impact. It's really what's easiest to manage. And this one looks like to me, somebody who's been in government since I was in my 20s, typical government operation where rather manage one big problem than a whole lot of small ones. So basically said, look, we don't care what's good for your business. We care about what's easier to manage, and it's easier that if you go ahead with the merger so we can handle both of you at one time rather than having to address the unique problems of both companies.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to question him yet?
No, we've really looking at that. I actually had somebody who we've brought in that I may allow him to have some of my shots, too, my time on there, because we've got even people from off the committee who are jumping in. So hopefully we'll be able to review it. But this is a bipartisan effort. Let me just say that, Dan. Democrats and Republicans both are not happy with this. Because
hey, if it stinks, it stinks. It doesn't matter what party you're in.
That is what's so great about this committee. We have a bipartisan committee on oversight. We realize that one of the big mistakes we made in the past is not being tough enough on the previous administration, and we're going to be darned if we allow this new administration to make the same mistakes.
You got it. Well, thank you so much for calling us and getting out of the committee for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
And I do want to refer people to your Facebook site, because you do keep people posted. In fact, it says you're looking forward to the Henry Paulson committee right now. And, yeah, and actually we have it up on the screen. So thanks for fighting the fight out there.
No problem. That's what you sent me out here for. I hope to get back this weekend and see you in the water.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. Thanks a lot, Congressman. See you later.
So he's talking about nationalization of banks, and we've been talking about nationalization of our healthcare system. It seems to be a theme today.
General Motors, government motors.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen up, everybody, before you head out to the beach. When we come back, we'll tell you about a study that shows why sand may be dangerous to your health.
No, not the sand.
And more on Michael Jackson's troubled life. Coming up, we'll have the latest developments on some of the things heating up. But first, Joe Lazura has our forecast.
Well, we know that the air we breathe is dangerous to our health. The water we drink is dangerous to our health. And now the earth we stand on is now dangerous to our health. Oh, you may. All right, let's talk about what's going on. You've got high pressure. We've got nice weather in store. You're going to like the forecast. We'll be back in just a couple.